nationwide with a message for the Trump administration. What brought them to the streets? Next, new rules could restrict what Texas SNAP recipients can put in their grocery carts. The fight over food access. All of this coming up on Tower Talks. Good evening and welcome to Tower Talks, the show where we take a closer look at the stories affecting Texans, Austinites, and students right here at UT Austin. I'm Kai Fong, and tonight we have a panel of UT students lined up for you to talk about student creatives in entertainment fields. But before we get into that, there have been some major changes happening at the university today, and we are joined by our Justin Dowd and Ariba Barmel, who have been following those changes this afternoon. First, Rachel Davis Mercy announced her departure from the university earlier today. She'll be taking over as Southern Methodist University's Executive Vice President and Provost beginning June 1st. Mercy previously served in the same position here at UT until her abrupt departure from that position in February. And you have both been covering major changes in university leadership throughout the semester. Ariba, can you talk to us about the changes in the tower that lead up to today's announcement?
Yeah, so there's been a lot going on this past couple of months up in the tower. So back in January, President Hartzell actually made Rachel Davis Mercy the permanent executive vice president and provost, a position she'd been serving in the interim last semester. So she took over officially in early January. I believe we were still on winter break when that was happening. The day after that announcement, Hartzell announced that he would be departing the university to head to SMU. In June, I believe, is when that transition was supposed to be made. But then in February, the university system regents decided to name a new interim president. So that's when James Davis took over in February, kind of cutting Hartzell's term short. The day after Davis was appointed himself, he named a new executive vice president and provost, and that cut Rachel Davis Mercy's position short in February.
In another major change this afternoon, the university today announced that they are eliminating the skills and experience flag requirements effective immediately. Justin, what is a flag requirement?
Yeah, so basically a flag requirement is just a mandate for some sort of core curriculum requirement. So the goal of the university by implementing flag requirements is to try and make sure that students are well-rounded in addition to the core curriculum that's mandated by the state. So when you implement a flag requirement, you're mandating that students take an ethics course or a writing course, something to build on those foundational skills in a variety of areas that the university had deemed were really important to graduates from UT Austin.
Ariba, this is happening at an interesting time given graduation and registration. You're also a senior set to graduate next month. Can you talk to us about the timing of this announcement?
Yeah, so it definitely comes at an interesting time given registration actually started, I believe, about an hour before this announcement was made to students. So there are some people who probably registered before they even knew that their degree requirements were changing. So that's very interesting, as well as, like you said, graduation is coming up in a month. A lot of those applications to graduate, you have to apply to graduate to make sure you get to walk and get your degree and everything. A lot of those applications for colleges are closing very quickly. In some cases, it looks like they may have already closed. The College of Fine Arts has their deadline set in March, and you have to reach out to them if you want to apply past that date. So lots of uncertainty right now. We're working on getting those answers, though, and we'll be continuing to update online as we learn more things.
Thank you, Reba and Justin, for those updates. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Today we have a panel of student creatives lined up for you. In today's media landscape, young creators are doing more than ever, releasing music, building brands, and producing complex projects, all while still in school. As the barriers to entry in entertainment continue to fall, students are stepping into roles once reserved for industry professionals. But they're also navigating new pressures, from social media visibility to time management to questions of long-term sustainability. This conversation looks at the reality of being a student creator in 2025, what it takes to balance academics with a growing creative career, how the work gets done behind the scenes, and what purpose, values, and uncertainties drive the future through the lens of music, performance, and unscripted entertainment. Our panelists will share the lessons they've learned while building something bigger than themselves, all before graduating. After our break, we'll talk to these students about their experiences in their roles and work. Stay tuned. Tower Talks will be right back.
13 of the 48 club sports offered by the university now require students to submit proof of sex assigned at birth.
I know deep down they would probably want to stay with the university.
No way in hell anybody's going to tell my daughters what to do with their bodies.
This state is one of the worst in child education.
We can't take it anymore, seeing those scenes.
Going to Hillel on Friday night, all my family members kept texting me not to go.
There's a huge housing crisis in Austin. Do you have a plan in place to address this issue? Determined to start your day well? We're up bright and early. From the enriching local stories to the weather forecast later in the day. Rain or shine, at Good Morning Longhorns, we got you covered. Comprised of a studious reporting staff going lengths to get that scoop, and a talented technical team to enhance your screen visually. As a fellow Longhorn, your mornings are better with us. So start your day the Vivo way. Good Morning Longhorns, Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Central Time on TSTV.
Welcome back to Tower Talks. Here with us this evening is computer science major Cooper Wilk, the founder of Survivor Texas, a campus version of the reality TV show Survivor. Wilk is also the host of seasons 1 through 5. Communication and leadership sophomore Cooper Brown, the production lead of Survivor Texas and winner of the show's second season, is also here. Government and economics major Camille Stites and economics junior Martin Leon, both student musicians who recently performed at UT's 40 Acres Fest in March. More students are pursuing creative careers while still in school, taking on projects that demand significant time, strategy, and public visibility, whether it's releasing music, producing a competition series, or building a personal brand. Those efforts often unfold alongside academic deadlines and campus commitments. Gen Z creators are entering professional spaces earlier than previous generations, driven by access to digital tools and audiences. This section explores how student creators manage their time, make sacrifices, and navigate the complexities of doing both school and entertainment at a high level. To start us off, can each of you briefly introduce yourselves and tell us about the creative work you do, whether that's music production or building a competition show? I guess we'll start off with you, Martin.
Well, my name is Martin Leon. I'm a sophomore public relations but I'm a recording artist that was previously signed with U-Talent Records my freshman year, and I've been making music since I was probably maybe 10 or 11. And I make indie rock pop music, sort of with the psychedelic sort of feel on it. And I've just been working with U-Talent Records as their executive events director, and I work with the artists that we signed there.
All right, and I guess we'll move to you, Camille.
No, my name is Camille Stites, and I'm a Gov and Econ double major. I'm 19, and I'm a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. and recently a recording artist. I'm working on my debut album right now. But no, I've been singing since I could talk and writing songs probably pretty soon after that. And then I started teaching myself piano when I turned 8 years old, and it kind of rocketed off from that. If you hand me an instrument, I can pick it up. So now I've been playing with traveling bands since I was like 12, 13, and I still like go home and to Houston and travel different cities to play gigs, and just recently started playing a bunch of shows on campus, so it's been super cool.
Yeah, my name's Cooper. I started the show Survivor Texas during my sophomore year. I'm now a graduating senior. I'm a computer science major. So Survivor Texas was something that kind of would bring me out of like the comp sci bubble, and it's a community that I'm really, really proud of, and I'm proud to be a part of it. It is a way to bring people that would not otherwise meet each other together and campus, all connected by this like one weird thread of being strangely big fans of the CBS show Survivor. So we recreate our own version of that show on campus, and it's a lot of fun. We all take pride in our work.
Yep, and then I'm Cooper Brown. I originally came in as an RTF major and a super big Survivor fan since I was about like 8 years old. And when I first saw the flyer my first year semester at college, I was like, I have to get involved in this. So I played my first semester and I won, and it was an amazing experience. And ever since then, I've been on the production crew. And it just, like Cooper said, has been an amazing experience getting to create something for students and for UT community, and being able to just be in such an awesome Survivor community.
Well, for our next question, how do y'all get into this work that you all do here on campus? I guess we'll start with you, Martin.
Yeah, I mean, well, coming into Austin just in general, like moving from the Rio Grande Valley, you know, the valley doesn't really have like such a huge music industry or music scene as it does here in Austin. So moving here was definitely a culture shock in that sort of sense of like trying to like promote my music over here. Like I had made an EP and a single back at home, but now it was really moving to a city that like genuinely fosters this sort of music sphere. So U-Talent Records was definitely my first encounter with the music industry here in Austin and here at UT. It's the only student record label on campus, and we sign student artists who are basically trying to get themselves into the music industry and having their foot in the door in the scene. And we work with them in terms of brand recognition, booking them with gigs, and different sorts of stuff, and providing them budgets and helping them promote and make their art in terms of any music or that they want to release. So really that was my first sort of step into that sphere, and I have to give really like my dearest you know, thank yous to U-Talent, just because they were able to put me into that sphere.
I kind of was in a similar boat in the music industry. Like I had done some gigs in Austin in high school before I came to school here. I didn't realize I was going to come to school here until crazy late. And then once I did move here, it was like, okay, I want to bust into this music scene. So I was doing gigs around Austin, but not around campus until, you know, I kind of threw myself into every music org that seemed right for me until I found my people that I clicked with, and then formed a few bands and just jammed along until UT started reaching out. UT Headliners is one of the biggest organizations on campus that has allowed me to kind of build a platform for myself, like in school. Like we did Battle of the Bands just a few weeks ago, which is super cool, which led us playing the Tower stage at 40 Acres Fest. And then they do like year-round events. Like back in November, we played the Cozy concert. The Cactus Cafe is one of my favorite places to get on campus.
Hard to follow that up a little bit, but I'm just a big fan of Survivor. When I was applying to colleges, I was looking at you know, affordability, a great computer science program, and also if it had a Survivor Club, which it's hard to tick that last box there. So my sophomore year, I decided my course load had lightened up a little bit. I had two other friends. We started the club together, and we thought it would be like a one semester type thing, or maybe a second semester if we're really feeling it. But then we meet so many amazing people, like so many cool people like Cooper, who's you know, incredibly motivated, loves this club, has found a bunch of friends through it, and like basically propelled the club forward without, you know, a ton of input needed from its original crew.
Yeah, and as I was saying, like as an RTF major, I was trying to get involved in like, you know, on camera, behind the camera, things like that, and obviously like having a love of Survivor, it's like the two worlds combined, and it was so perfect. And even though I'm not an RTF major anymore, like having to still being able to use like my editing skills and, you know, behind the camera work to create a product that I love is just so rewarding in the end.
Do you feel that creative fields like music or entertainment are valued equally to all other disciplines in an academic setting? Why or why not? I guess we'll start over here again.
That's a loaded question because it's, there's so many people that will say, yeah, it should have the same value, or that, any academic sort of endeavor should be. And I think that it takes a lot on both ends. Having an academic endeavor and working through something like that is obviously very challenging, but I think also being in a creative field, where things aren't really put on a plate for you, where you kind of have to make your own way into this sort of sphere that somewhat might be a little scary and looks like a maze when you really try to get into it. That takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time and connecting with other people and really realizing that it's not just like a very solid path to take. Everyone has their own sort of path that they take, and it's important to recognize that it's not just a linear thing. So I think that it's very important to both recognize academic and creative endeavors to have the same sort of value that they both retain. Yeah, for sure.
No, I totally agree with that. I do think that both the academic world and the music world, or just entertainment industry in general, I feel like they're both incredibly highly valued, especially in a city like Austin, but it's in completely different ways. I feel like, for one thing, at UT we are very blessed to have such a platform for people that want to push themselves into the entertainment industry. The school does a great job with offering resources for that compared to some other places that I've seen. But I will say, because I'm Gov and Econ pre-law on one side, and it's such it seems to be taken more seriously, if that makes sense. Not that the music that I do isn't valued. I know that that is a whole world, and I feel so loved and appreciated in. It's so cool, but it's more of an escape and a release, and an outlet for people rather than something that is taken crazy seriously all the time. But yeah.
Do you guys have a similar experience?
I mean, I totally get that sentiment. Trying to raise money for the Turing CS program at UT versus trying to raise money for Survivor Texas is two completely different stories. It's a lot easier for people to take academics more seriously. Even though, yeah, I agree. Our production is a complete outlet for a lot of these people who are, focused on their majors, but also want to, take pride in some work, want to put their names on something, and want to be a part of this, blossoming community. It's just. We're lucky to be in the city of Austin and on a campus with so many, thousands of students that can come together for this. But I don't know. In my experience, at least, academia is clearly put on a pedestal above entertainments and arts.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think everyone's very accurate about the level that people view the two. But I think what's really great about the creative fields is you get so many skills that you can apply in other ways. I feel like people think that it's just an outlet for fun and you can't really do much else with it. But I feel like specifically in Survivor, there's just so many skills you learn, even managerial and things that can be carried into other fields, whether you do business or law. So it all is just a really great opportunity.
Speaking of balancing academics and creative fields, have you ever struggled to get recognition or resources for your work because it falls outside of traditional academic or professional pathways? I guess this ties into our last question.
I mean, I think if you haven't felt like you haven't been recognized about your work sometimes, even though you've put in so much effort into doing it, I feel like you're somewhat doing something right, because it's you're seeing that you're putting so much effort into something that's creative and might not be seen, as valuable as something like an academic endeavor. But the fact is, if you genuinely believe in what you're working on, whether that be music or whether that be something on TV or movies or anything related to any entertainment business, it's something that takes a lot of risk, and it's something that takes a lot of personal belief in yourself that this is something that's worth doing. And I think that more than anything, just having people sometimes tell you that it's not going to work, or it's something that might be out of reach, sort of should fuel you more and actually make you want to do it and prove them wrong. Yeah.
Right. No, I feel like it's a bit different from academia in the sense that for the other majors, it's one of those things where you put the work in, and if you work harder and harder and harder, you earn more from it, and that might not particularly be the same case with music, but it's so rewarding because of that. I will say the recognition aspect is kind of a hit or miss sometimes. It just depends on if you're in the right place at the right time, or honestly, a lot of it is luck. But I feel like that hard work for both aspects is just super important.
I mean, again, I agree. I feel like with academia, it's more like there's like a structured path that students before you have like gone down, and you're kind of just like following their tracks. You talk to your professors, you get into research, you kind of know what you have to do. But in terms of like entertainments and arts and I assume music, it's more like trailblazing. Like everybody has to take their own path, and like yes, the university can provide you resources, but also like you need your own passion. You have your own vision. Like your project needs its own needs. So I feel like there's not much that the university can do to support you fully.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think everyone has hit it head on the nail.
Well, I guess we all think really similarly. As a follow-up for each of you personally, where do these creative endeavors fall? Is it a serious pursuit of your future, or just a way to, express yourselves? Currently, while you work on your degrees.
I mean, I think I've had this conversation with myself so many times that it just, it falls flat on my ear sometimes. But I mean, really, like, the pipe dream is obviously making something worth living out of, in the music industry. But, sometimes coming to reality is something that, a lot of musicians, go through. And I think that's probably, like, a reason why I'm here at UT either way, just because I do genuinely want a professional career. Doing PR in music industry and business, like, is a very sort of specific genre that I want to, like, sort of be in. So, working in the music industry with artists or labels or publishers, like, is something that I do want to do. But for sure, like, I've been working with making my own music, all creative direction. I write all the emails, I make all the graphics, I book all the gigs. Like, this is stuff that, like, takes a lot of time and a lot of, like, creative effort to do. So it's definitely, and I've been doing it for so long now that it's definitely, like, a part of me. So it's, like, both going through this professional career development, but also wanting to continue this pipe dream of music, for sure.
No, I think that's beautiful. I resonate with it a lot. Like, for me, that's also a conversation I've had with myself a million times, because I'm, like, I want to pursue law school. That's one of my biggest passions, and then music is also my soul, and it boiled down to a point because, I guess to pursue it fully, it is something that you have to devote all your time to, and I'm stuck because these two fields that I want to go into are just so entirely different, until I sat down and I realized, well, like, the whole point of, like, my passion behind both of them is I just want to help and connect with people, and I found, like, a beautiful intersect between the two, because it's doing the same thing just in a different light. And so I feel like making that connection and coming to that realization has kind of allowed me to feel more at peace with, it's not like splitting my time between two things. It's just like, this is all of who I am, this is all of what I want to do, and it's just expanding my horizons by being able to do both.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put that really well, Camille. Like, I mean, these two things take up so much of my time. Like, Survivor Texas takes up a ton of my time, a ton of my energy, but, like, it also refuels me from all my work in computer science, and almost vice versa. Like, after graduation, I'm entering, like, a field of computer science, almost nothing to do, seemingly, with like film production or TV production. But all the soft skills, like Cooper was saying earlier, that you develop from working on projects like this, people skills, managerial skills, like logistics, things like that, you don't, necessarily realize that you're building. It's kind of like a Mr. Miyagi, like, wax on, wax off. You're like, oh, wait a minute, why am I good at this now? Oh, it's because I spent, hundreds of hours at Survivor Texas working on shoots. So I hope that everybody that works on our show can have those realizations.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm, like, the same way. Right now I'm pre-law. I want to be an entertainment lawyer. I've always been, like, surrounded by the field of entertainment, whether it be, like, theater, film, production, anything like that. And so I feel like I want to take those skills, like, that I'm learning here in college, like, doing what I love, and apply that to, whatever career I end up in, so that I can enjoy what I do and make sure that I'm doing something that I love. And I would love to be on The Real Survivor one day, too. So, we're all going to just see where life takes us.
So you've mentioned these communities like U-Talent Records or the group you've met as part of Survivor Texas. Have you found other support systems on campus, whether people or programs, that help you sustain your work? I guess we'll start with Cooper Brown for this part.
Okay, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of, like, resources and communities I feel like that I found. A big thing about Survivor Texas is that we bring in people from, like, all over campus, people you never would have met otherwise. And that's just what's so great about it. We have people from, COLA, Moody, everything. And you just get so many experiences, and you hear and learn about so many different parts of campus, which is what makes it so great. So we learn about the different communities, and we find those people from sectors of campus that, you know, we never would have connected with otherwise. And I feel like that just like allows Survivor Texas to be such like a beautiful blend of everything that UT embodies. So we've gotten, you know, like a lot of insight, and we've helped grow our organization in so many ways because of the people that have joined, and we hope to continue doing that as time goes on.
Does anybody else have anything similar?
I was going to say, I feel like endeavors like this are like powered by passion. Of like at least for us, our biggest fuel source is like the community of students at the University of Texas that want to help us with our projects.
Yeah, I think one of the really cool things about going to a school with 50,000 people is no matter who you meet, what kind of background, we're all different majors, none of them are really entertainment, is that you meet so many different people with so many different types of connections that like just kind of pop out of nowhere, like all the way from like my Gov and Econ and even my Spirit org, just offering like so many hands of support, to even like my people in my government and economics classes and my professors like wanting to come out to my shows and help me with music. You know, you just kind of meet people everywhere. It's really cool.
I think for me, I definitely have to give a shout out to the RTF program, like for sure, through and through. They've worked with me in all my music videos. We shot a music video for one of my songs, Feel the Same, which I released under U-Talent Records, and it was all consisting of RTF students who are wanting to work in music industry, music videos or film, you know, in the film industry. And, you know, these sorts of things are so unique to UT because so many people are driven to want to make something out of their creative and professional careers that you end up doing stuff like that. You create, you know, these groups and bonds with people, then you make something really great. And I fell in love with the music video when we shot it, and you know, I just really have to give a shout out to the RTF program because they're great. Yeah.
Moving on to our next topic, with content creation on the rise from independent music releases to student-led reality productions, the line between professional and DIY entertainment is becoming increasingly blurred. Many young artists and creators today are faced with a choice: pursue their creative venture full-time or build a traditional foundation through higher education. Our panelists have chosen to do both. This part of the conversation looks at how they navigate that dual identity and how young creators plan, execute, and adapt their work in a rapidly changing media landscape. For Cooper W. and Cooper B., what goes into designing a Survivor Texas season, and how do you keep it fresh?
I feel like what we like to do every single season, at least for me, I like to do something new and unique, something that like people have never seen before, and something that can invigorate the crew to also be really into it. We had a season last semester. It was all like pirate, walk the plank themed. This season we're doing like a Greek mythology theme, and it just keeps us like on our toes, on our feet. Like it keeps it's just very fresh overall because we're never doing one thing over again. Obviously, Survivor is a concept where it's the same, you know, format of people voting each other out, and eventually you come down to a winner. But there's just so many like outlets that we can like explore with that, and I feel like we're still growing a lot in that sense. So there's just a lot of exploration that we're doing to find great ways to make it an awesome experience for everyone at UT.
Awesome. I mean, a big thing is just like encouraging people, giving them responsibilities over and ownership over like small parts of the project, which can then become bigger parts of the project. Like, yeah, we had our pirate season last semester. We had like Blossoms and Thorns, and Cooper was on the Wild West season. But so often in like our production meetings, people have like these like kind of zany, weird ideas that end up, you know, becoming implemented, and then they can point at the part of the show and say like, I did that. I'm the one who made, you know, the podium that looks like a Greek pillar. I'm the one that made the snuffer that, you know, is painted with Zeus's head on it. Like, just all these like fun little parts that you know, end up making the show like feel like full and complete because it's powered by passion.
That sounds pretty cool. Now, for musicians, what does songwriting and recording look like for you?
Gosh, trying to balance that with like 2 majors right now is one of those things that's kind of challenging, only because like I keep 3 to 4 different calendars and a planner. But at least for me, songwriting is one of those things that like I don't like to force, so you can't really push a deadline on it like you can an essay. So it kind of makes my schedule super, I don't want to say spontaneous because it's planned out enough with enough notice, but it's kind of off the walls, varying week by week. It's my favorite thing to do, but it's kind of one of those things where I have to choose, okay, do I want to go to my 3 p.m. class or do I want to go to the studio? You know, it just depends on the week.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that for sure. And I mean, I think that every musician like writes differently. Like for example, I can't write if I'm not super locked in on what I'm doing. So for me, you know, it really just does become a game of like whether I'm feeling influenced here or whether I'm going to like sit myself down and like finish something that I've been working on and I just haven't gotten around to it. And I really just write from personal experiences, and I really try to express what I've been sort of feeling or thinking about into my music and my lyrics. And I mean, it just comes down to like showing it to the band. Does the band like it? What can we make? We'll go into the studio, we'll record it, we'll see if we like it. Does it really just sound like how we want it to? And it's a lot of just creative direction of trial and error, and it's a lot of just thinking about what we want to make and what sounds like ourselves. And I've gone through so many different creative soundscapes that I really have, like, you know, that you can see that I've progressed through. I used to have this sort of sound before, and I've been going through another sort of, I guess, progression now. But it really just changes all the time, and I think that's the fun part about it, because it's always so fresh and it's new. And I mean, I love it. I think that at the end of the day, both of us can agree that we just both love doing it. It's so much fun.
Awesome. When you start having deadlines or structured expectations with production, or if you have a performance coming up, does creative expression ever start to feel like a chore? How do you stay connected to your passion and your original spark?
Gosh. As much as I hate to admit that sometimes it does feel like a chore, I don't want to say that the music part of it does as much as like recently I've been battling with, like, the last 3 weeks I had South by Southwest showcases and then a bunch of gigs on campus, and I didn't have a voice for any of it, and so it was kind of like I was walking around with a tote bag with a bottle of honey for 3 weeks trying to, you know, get that figured out. So that part did feel like a chore. And then, like, same thing with writing music. I'm trying to push a hard deadline on this album. I'm hopefully gonna try to release it this summer. My original deadline was spring, and then classes picked up way more than I thought I would, so it's kind of, you know, the deadlines can sometimes cast some dread, I guess, on it, but at the end of the day, you sit down and it's like, well, I love doing this, so it kind of, it balances it out.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say it's like a chore, but definitely I think we can both agree that it feels like a second day job.
It's a job.
Oh yeah, it really is. And I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I'm doing all these sorts of things that are coming down to, you know, releases of music. We have a song coming out on the 18th. I wrote it probably a year ago, but it's all the creative direction that goes to it, the psychographic messaging, how we want it to sound, you know, through the headphones, you know, how we want our listeners to interpret the music and what we want to say on the lyrics and how we want the effects to sound. Like, all this stuff, you know, all you're hearing is the end product, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of work. And, you know, sometimes I look at just don't go to class because I'm working on things and I have to, you know, finish this sort of document that I need to send in to marketing people that I know. Like, it's a lot of work, but I don't think it's ever going to end up being a chore, because and I think you'll agree, like, we love it so much that it's like, we can't ever get away from it. Like, we'll always be in the cycle of wanting to do it. So, yeah.
And it's also one of those things, too, project, at least for me. Like, I was telling my producer the other day on the phone, we've recorded almost 40 songs, and I've had this, like, strict idea for a project, and then, like, one day I was like, no, it was great work, don't get me wrong, but I was like, no, my vision changed, and I was like, I want to do something completely different. So then it kind of, like, it's like a cycle, you know. But I don't know, when your soul is connected to it like that, it's less of a chore and just more like, okay, let's lock in and get this done.
Can you guys relate at all to that?
Definitely. I mean, I would say, like being the host of the show is, like, so much fun, like, literally a dream come true, you know, to look at a crew of, you know, 30 people on set, and then a cast of players that are, you know, taking it all very seriously. And at the end of the day, it's like just like a silly game that we just have cameras recording. But showing up every Thursday and Sunday for the last 5 semesters, not taking still rigorous classes, applying to jobs, doing everything, it can feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but yeah, I think you just go back to your roots. You, like, take a step away and, like, look at what's happening. You see, like, you know, the camera people on set that, you know, would never have met each other, didn't know each other before the start of the semester, and are now, you know, going to in and out after the shoot to discuss what just happened, to the crazy blind stuff that just happened. Like, it's just so fun and so rewarding to see stuff like that happen, and it, yeah, totally just grounds you, brings you back to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously, we produce a whole show. Like, we do that over the course of a semester, so we have a very strict schedule that we have to follow. And, you know, it can be a lot for anyone who has to take on so much of a time commitment, and I feel like we can all relate. Like, we put in so much time to our work because we love it. It's just like a common theme that I feel like carries throughout all arts or whatever your passion is. So yeah, it can have those times where you're overwhelmed and stuff like that, but I feel like we all just like know deep in our cores that like we do this because we love doing it, we love creating for other people, and it's just, I think, a part that just makes us whole, so I wouldn't change it for the world.
In an industry where so much is now platform-driven, algorithms, reach, sponsorship, do you feel like the quality of work matters less than how well it performs online, and how do you combat that?
I mean, I think that really with this new release that we have coming out, I really set the standard for myself in working with the people that to promote the song and put this out. I really didn't want to sacrifice the quality of work in terms of, you know, the views or anything like that, or any sort of analytics that come along with it. Obviously, you know, working in a field where now you're your own manager, you're your own promoter, you're your own events director, like that's the sort of stuff that used to not be. You just used to be the musician and the artist, but now you're taking on so many roles that you have to kind of care about how the analytics and the algorithm works, and you somewhat have to like educate yourself over it so that you can somewhat have a fair playing field, you know, with other people who are using the algorithm to their advantage. So I think more than anything, like, at the end of the day, it's something that we take into account, but definitely for me, I'm a huge nerd for anything that just looks great, and that's something that I worked on with my videographer in shooting all the promotion and the music video and the live performance video that we'll have coming out. And just the music in general, I don't like sacrificing the audio quality just because I want to have something out really quick and just have something hit online. You know, so if it ends up being that that's the sort of thing that like will take a little bit more time, it's fine with me, but it's something that I very much value in my work.
So you're like an artiste.
I definitely will just say that I like being a little perfectionist with my music and just how it looks and how it feels, and just live in general, how the band sounds. It's something that I take a lot of time into, but I think at the end of the day it's worth it because I enjoy it, and I think that the band enjoys it, and I think that other people do too.
I feel the exact same way. I'm such a perfectionist with my art, and that's why like I've taken so long to work on this project, because I mean, and this might go against everything that the industry tells you to do, but I would rather wait for a long time and release something that I'm entirely happy with rather than release a bunch of my music, you know, that I'm not, just to get myself out there. And that kind of ties into the whole like social media and online platform thing. That's one thing that I've just recently started to delve into, like the music video and, you know, film world, which is something that like is so beautiful and just something that is so foreign to me because I've never been involved in it super heavily. But like I've always neglected like my social media presence because it's just never been something that I've heavily prioritized, rather than just making sure that I'm on my off time perfecting my craft, and then when I'm displaying it, whether it be on social media, when it rarely is, but especially like live, that it's like I'm just giving my all out and you know, performing my best for the people that I interact with, you know, and building my network. I honestly prefer, which is maybe a fatal flaw, but like stuff by word of mouth and in person rather than through a screen. But like as I'm kind of delving into the later stages of this project and entering that world, it's been something that's been super cool to also learn about how to boost yourself up that way too.
I mean, it's a little hard to compare our projects to like actual music careers, but I would say it's a great question, Kai. Like, it sucks to kind of like have to think so much about like algorithms and like how it looks on Instagram and how it looks on YouTube. Like, everybody that works on the project really just wants to like make it as best as possible, and it's hard to like, you know, the algorithms change every day. Like, at a certain point, we just kind of accept that it's like a little bit out of our control, and the best thing that we can do is like make a product that we're as proud of as we can be.
Yeah, for sure. I just think that we love it and we want to be happy with it, and I feel like that matters more than just like spewing out things that we wouldn't be proud of showing.
Well, thank you all for that discussion. I know I learned a lot. When we come back, we'll have more questions for our panelists. Tower Talks will be back.
13 of the 48 club sports offered by the university now require students to submit proof of sex assigned at birth.
I know deep down they would probably want to stay with the university.
No way in hell anybody's going to tell my daughters what to do with their bodies.
This state is one of the worst in child education.
We can't take it anymore seeing those scenes.
Going to Hillel on Friday night, all my family members kept texting me not to go.
There's a huge housing crisis in Austin. Do you have a plan in place to address this issue? Determined to start your day well? We're up bright and early. From the enriching local stories to the weather forecast later in the day. Rain or shine, at Good Morning Longhorns, we got you covered. Comprised of a studious reporting staff going lengths to get that scoop, and a talented technical team to enhance your screen visually. As a fellow Longhorn, your mornings are better with us. So start your day the Vivo way. Good Morning Longhorns, Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Central Time on TSTV.
Welcome back to Tower Talks. Continuing on with our panel. As access to creative tools and platforms continue to expand, the boundaries of what it means to be a creator are shifting. Anyone can now release music, produce a show, or build an audience online. But with that access comes new questions about sustainability, credibility, ethics, and the future of creative work. This section explores how student artists and producers are thinking about long-term goals, team dynamics, public responsibility, and what it means to make an impact in an industry that's constantly changing. In a time when anyone can publish anything, music, video, reality shows, what do you think the barriers to entry being lower is a good thing, or does it also make it harder to be taken seriously?
I think there's such an influx of how many people there are putting just music on Spotify. 150,000 songs are being uploaded every single day from users all over the globe, and just even more just being posted on social media. I think having a lower barrier of entry is a double-edged sword as much as anything is in the music industry. Obviously, I have social media to thank for being able to expose my music to a small subset of people, and that really is our key of trying to grow outside of promoting it by performing live, sort of doing this sort of stuff. But more than anything, social media really is the key and goal of really any, creative. And so I think it somewhat harms a lot of creators because there's so much influx of just so much content that's being promoted and posted online. But also I think it's an opportunity for those who have the unique idea to stand out of the crowd. And I think that's something that all of us are really trying to do, in terms of anything related creatively. We're all trying to make something that is unique enough for others to take a look at in such a world where we have such small, attention spans now. I think it's very important to just try to make something that, one, still speaks to people's souls and hearts, but also something that's unique enough to stand out.
I think double-edged sword might be the perfect word to describe that, because if you're asking the question, is it a good thing or does it make it harder? It's both. I think one of the crazy things about it is it's crazy to me how much talent there is in this world, but at the same time there's so much talent in this world, and at the end of the day, the algorithm, it's not something you can control, but what you can control is hammering down on your craft, whatever that may be. And I think that in all honesty, authenticity is honestly the only thing that you can control, and the one thing that will make you stand out and will help you build a platform at some point, some way, somehow, because like you are you and there's only one of you, you know? So I think that's honestly the main thing that everybody has to ride on in this industry, especially as technology advances as fast as it is, because that's the one thing that does not change.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel like it's a little bit different for us. We're not creating something that's like going on public national television, but we are creating something that we are, you know, putting out there for people to see, and it's obviously important to take that into mind about like what kind of audience we're pertaining to, and even if we're staying within like the campus and college campus community, what's really cool is that like we have people like reach out to us and see us like on our social media platforms, whether it be like through Snapchat stories or the Instagram stories or our TikTok or YouTube. Like people find us through those platforms. So like in the way that we're like starting, because we're still relatively new, we're finding ways to be successful in terms of like that outreach and like finding ways to grow and bring people into our organization.
I mean, I totally agree with Cooper. Also, again, like authenticity is like the key like standout feature. Like with all the way back to season 1, we didn't have, you know, that many RTF people on the crew. We didn't have editors. Thankfully, DaVinci Resolve was free, and there were lots of tutorials on YouTube. So yeah, there's a low barrier of entry, which, you know, can be a great thing. It means there's like a lot of, you know, content out there. So the only way to really cut through is with, yeah, just authenticity and passion, which I think Cooper and the rest of our crew like really bring to the table.
Has the economic uncertainty of being a creator, especially a student creator, from musician to producer to showrunner, shaped the way y'all think about sustainability or long-term plans?
Yeah, I mean, I think that without this conversation, I don't think I'd just even be here at UT, you know, doing, you know, studying something, you know, or having a professional career. I think that, you know, my parents and I have all long talked about this conversation, you know, since I was a kid. You know, I knew that I wanted to do something in music, like whether that be working as an artist or working in the music industry. But, you know, like how we talked about earlier, you know, coming to reality of like, you know, you have to have some sort of like plan B when you're doing this sort of stuff, especially as you know, as a musician or showrunners or producers of just a show. Like it's not something concrete, and it can just very much fall flat on its face whenever it wants to. You know, sometimes you just sometimes don't have control over that. But I think that it's important to, and I think that we all have this sort of talent and this uniqueness that we're able to both carry the weight of being a creator and wanting to be something in an entertainment industry, and also being a student and working so hard and diligently on, you know, these things that, you know, we might as well, you know, want to do these other creative things, but we're still going through with this academic and with the academics and trying to be successful in academics. So I think that all of us should be very proud of ourselves and in how we are, like as talented as we are, but also how successfully academically we all are.
Right. No, I totally agree. All I can say is I feel so grateful and so lucky to be able to say that I have a passion for, and also the ability to be able to study and create a career for myself in a field that is a lot more sustainable, a lot more promising, like law rather than music, to where like I, you know, will be able to support myself financially down the line, and I will be able to use that career to hopefully make more time and opportunity for myself in music. But no, it is one of those things that sadly, like a lot of people aren't able to pursue to their full ability because of the financial aspect of it, and because it's not a very sustainable field, as sad as that is. And like I'm also lucky to say like that even if I weren't pursuing Gov and Econ in law school, that like my parents at the end of the day would love for me to just do something that you know, my heart is in rather than where the money is. But it still is something that is very real that you have to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just like to thank, like, I don't know, basically the lucky position that I'm in, and I think a lot of us are in, that we have the ability to, you know, focus on like these career options, but also we are able to put a lot of energy into these like supplemental activities and projects that we can put passion into. And I think that like, yeah, all of these soft skills that we develop from, you know, the other half of us, the half that's not academic, everybody on our production, everybody that's in music hopefully can take with them into their career no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially like coming from an organization like Survivor, where we put in so much of our time and effort, and like a lot of it is completely student funded. Like as Cooper was saying earlier, finding funding for something like Survivor is a little bit more difficult than, you know, like as he said, like the Turing Scholars. So, you know, we have a lot of people who put in like their heart and soul and their money into this, and you know, it's not necessarily something that's going to be giving us money back, but I think it's like a matter of like finding that balance, and obviously like as we go along in our lives and find the career path that, you know, where we land eventually in life, I just feel like it's like a combination of both finding like that balance of where we could do something we love and also put time and effort into the things that just make us complete.
For our final question, what do you hope your audience takes away from your work, whether it's music or a show?
I mean, honestly, like if you have an idea, if you're passionate about something, if you want to make something that's creative or something that's in the entertainment industry, whether it's a film or it's music or it's art or anything in between, like do it. Seriously do it, because you know, you only live once in this life, and it's something that, you know, can sometimes be put down by academics or the sustainability of it all and what we all discussed about. But I always tell this to everyone and to all the artists that I work with. Like, they ask me all the time, like, do you ever get nervous, like, before you go on stage? And I always tell them, like, if you're not nervous before you go on stage, you just don't care about it. It's true, because at the end of the day, it's if you care so much about it, you're going to be nervous about it, you're going to want to do well in it, and you're going to want to just be successful in that thing because you care so much about it and you have such passion for it. So if you really are, you know, going through this sort of epiphany of like wanting to make something, and you really feel it deep down in your heart that you want to make it, you should really do it, because at the end of the day, this is your project and it's your life, and you shouldn't be living the life that someone else wants you to live, and that's just the motto that I definitely live by.
No, I think that's really beautiful. No, I think that definitely like the nerves before a show can get crazy overwhelming, and then at the end of the day, like when you sit down and you think about it, it's more like the nerves can kind of stem from, oh, I really want to put on a good performance, I want to be at my best, but it's really just like I want to fulfill the purpose for the reason why I'm up here. I want to help and I want to connect with people, and I want to make people happy or just make people feel. I want to inspire people to make music or do whatever they want to do through my craft, you know, and just to, I think, have the opportunity to be able to have a platform at all to make that impact on people is just kind of crazy beautiful, which can also be very grounding. But no, that's like the thing that keeps me grounded and the reason why I think I do it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I really resonate with what Martin said. I mean, if you were here one time, college is such a unique opportunity. Life is obviously great. Make it happen. Like, there's tons of computer scientists, there's tons of lawyers. You're going to do something great in your career, but also have something that's, you know, that we are trailblazing, something that we can be proud of, that we're putting our heart and soul into. And even if, you know, 3 people watch it ever, like, we'll be proud of it and we'll love it.
Yeah. I mean, coming to college, if you had told me like beforehand that I'd be like helping run a Survivor game, like I would not believe you. Like, this is just like such like a unique experience that I literally never could have predicted. So like to find myself here and like a part of something so special is just like, it resonates so deeply with me. And I hope that anyone, no matter what their passion is, music, Survivor, anything, can like find that one thing that's true to them, that they love, and just stick to it and like really explore those passions. Because I mean, we're all in college, like we're only here once, we have 4 years or however many to just like try new things and just be yourself and learn a lot about yourself. And I feel like things like music and running a show can really just teach you so much about what you want to do in life and who you are as a person.
All right, that brings us to the end of our panel. Thank you once again to all the panelists who came out during this segment. When we return, we'll have the latest political updates for you. Tower Talks will be right back.
13 of the 48 club sports offered by the university now require students to submit proof of sex assigned at birth.
I know deep down they would probably want to stay with the university.
No way in hell anybody's going to tell my daughters what to do with their bodies.
This state is one of the worst in child education.
We can't take it anymore seeing those scenes.
Going to Hillel on Friday night, all my family members kept texting me not to go.
There's a huge housing crisis in Austin. Do you have a plan in place to address this issue? Determined to start your day well? We're up bright and early. From the enriching local stories to the weather forecast later in the day. Rain or shine, at Good Morning Longhorns, we got you covered. Comprised of a studious reporting staff going lengths to get that scoop, and a talented technical team to enhance your screen visually. As a fellow Longhorn, your mornings are better with us. So start your day the Vivo way. Good Morning Longhorns, Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Central Time on TSTV.
Welcome back to Tower Talks. We have reporter Anish Tiwari here to tell us more about what's happening at the Texas State Capitol and national politics. Welcome, Anish.
Thank you so much, Kai. Getting started tonight, Texas families reliant on state aid to buy groceries may soon face new restrictions on which foods they are able to buy. Senate Bill 379 places new rules on how money allocated under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP for short, is able to be spent. The restrictions only apply to purchases made using SNAP benefits. Beneficiaries are still able to purchase the prohibited goods with their own money. Under SB 379, items like energy drinks, potato chips, candies, cookies, and sweet drinks such as soda will not be able to be purchased with SNAP benefits. Products to be excluded from the new restrictions include milk and milk substitute products, juices, baby formula, weight loss beverages, and protein drinks. In an interview given to Fox 4, Galveston Republican Senator Mays Middleton, the sponsor of the bill, stated that the purpose of the bill is to encourage healthier eating habits among SNAP users. However, detractors of SB 379, including Senate Democrats, argue that the new bill would negatively impact SNAP users, especially in so-called food deserts, where accessing healthier food alternatives is difficult due to either a lack of rapid public transportation or the absence of grocery stores with healthy foods. Opponents of SB 379 state that more effort should be put in towards nutrition education and increasing accessibility to healthier foods, rather than controlling what people buy. The House is set to vote on SB 379 soon. This weekend, hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets all across the country to gather for the hands-off protests against the policies of the current Trump administration. The protest aimed to show discontent with the current administration's handling of foreign policy, the economy, deportations, and federal government cuts. Protests took place in major cities all over the country. even in downtown Austin in front of the Texas state capitol. The various signs of the protests focused on issues of civil rights, Social Security, Medicaid, abortion, and much more. According to CNN, the organizers have three main demands that they wish to convey through these protests. Quote, an end to the billionaire takeover and rampant corruption of the Trump administration, an end to slashing federal funds for Medicaid, Social Security, and other programs working people rely on, and an end to the attacks on immigrants, trans people, and other communities, end quote. Many United States representatives such as Ilhan Omar and Maxwell Frost also spoke at the protests, conveying their strong discontent with the Trump administration. Last Wednesday, April 2nd, President Trump announced a series of sweeping new tariffs that what he deemed, quote, Liberation Day. Tariffs of a 10% rate have been imposed on all imports to the United States from nearly 90 nations. Some countries will incur additional levies beyond the baseline 10%. Tariffs Trump have deemed reciprocal and will go into effect on Wednesday, April 9th. Asian countries are among the hardest hit with reciprocal rates, including a 49% tariff on imports from Cambodia, a 46% tariff on Vietnam, and a 34% levy on China. Trump claims that the tariffs will help the U.S. even out trade deficits with other nations and encourage an increase in stateside manufacturing. Since the transition to onshore manufacturing will take time, however, economists warn that consumers can expect to pay higher prices for goods across nearly all sectors, at least in the short term. As a result of escalations in the trade war, stocks across the globe have plummeted. Earlier today, the S&P 500 dropped into bear market territory, a period where a market index falls by 20% or more from its recent peak that typically signals negative investor sentiment and may indicate incoming economic downturn. Despite growing fears about swelling inflation and a potential recession to follow Trump's tariffs, the president has said that he will not back down. In response, some countries have imposed their own tariffs on the United States. China has threatened to tack a 34% tariff on America beginning April 10th. Meanwhile, other world leaders are attempting to seek compromise. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Washington, D.C. Sunday night to meet with Trump, while the European Union is seeking a zero-for-zero deal, but has responded to a 25% tariff on its 27 nations with a 25% levy on some U.S. imports.
Thank you, Anish. Tower Talks will be back. Be sure to follow us on social media at TSTV News on X, formerly Twitter, and at Tower Talks STSTV on Instagram. Check us out on tstvnews.com online and subscribe to our newsletter, Newsroom Notes. From all of us here in the studio, thank you for joining us this evening, and good night.